At the end of this, though, we get a big reveal of the Winter Soldier.
Yep.
Did you know right away that it was Bucky?
Yep.
Okay,
Because I read comics.
right.
Everybody knew.
Do you wanna do you wanna do you wanna talk about Bucky and the Winter Soldier a little bit right now?
Yeah, so I think I don't know how much I said about this in Falcon and Winter Soldier. It seems like so long ago. That was our first podcast, so it's like been a while. Um, but Bucky was initially hired as a secret agent to assassinate and do black ops for the American government, and he was Captain America's sidekick. But so Captain America during World War II would go out, be the hero, but then Bucky would go out and then like he's the guy who would torture people and slit throats.
Mhm.
And he's the guy who stopped the attack. Like when the planes went off, Captain America and Bucky jumped on the plane, but then Bucky's the one who actually detonated the plane and saved a bunch of people's lives. And like I said before, Bucky was always the one who everybody in the comics said he's dead, he's never going to come back. No one's ever going to bring Bucky back. But then they did. They did bring Bucky back
In the comics.
as the yeah, in the comics as the Winter Soldier. Um, in the comics, it played out that he's the Winter Soldier, and then Captain America realized who he was, and there was some back and forth, and there was some Hydra stuff going on, and then eventually, Captain America would be killed by a time bullet. Since it's a long story, but then Bucky would actually take over as Captain America for a time. Yeah, time, I don't even want to get into it. It's, when we talk about Civil War, we'll get into time bullets.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, everybody who read the comics, as soon as they saw in the trailers, they saw the Winter Soldier with the metal arm. We all knew it was Bucky. Did you know it was Bucky?
I'm thinking back to my first time watching this. I'm pretty sure I had no idea who it was.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. And like I think now that Bucky is in the comics, and now that Bucky is in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I don't know how we don't have him. Like I used to be grumpy about it, but now I'm fine with it now. I think that they handled him pretty well. I wish they would have answered some more questions because like he has a super soldier serum in him. Like how did they make it? Like I'm assuming Zola made it. But there's a couple of different questions. But I like the idea that as Captain America was frozen for a long period of time, Bucky was frozen and unfrozen and being mentally tortured
Mhm.
and doing all these bad things.
Having his brain wiped
Yeah,
routinely,
his brain
apparently.
was wiped. Yeah, yeah, imagine all the. I mean, this the character is a tragic character. Like when you look at his evolution from the Winter Soldier to Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I think they've done a pretty solid job, man. And I like how they handled um Bucky in Falcon and Winter Soldier. This like tragic character, this guy who's out of time, out of place, doesn't really know who he is. And now he's like kind of in a good place. So yeah, I like there's not much more to talk about with the Winter Soldier except that they I think if anything, this movie did a really good job establishing him and working with him. And I think they always have. I think the actor did a great job with him. Everybody like the Winter Soldier is not a problem for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, not at all.
Okay.
And the actor's name is Sebastian Stein. Sebastian Stein.
Stan.
Sebastian Stein.
Yeah. All right. So I've got to ask you. So when I'm watching this movie, I don't know who Bucky is. Or well, I know who Bucky is from the earlier movie, but I don't know who the Winter Soldier is. I don't know that that's Bucky. It's a reveal later in the movie. How did you feel watching this where your knowledge of the comics has effectively already spoiled that reveal for you that happens later in the movie? Are you
Mm.
still psyched just because you know that it's Bucky, or are you a little bit let down because you don't get to experience the reveal the way a lot of other people did?
That's a really, really good question. I wish that, of course, I didn't know. So when the mask comes off, I'm like completely blown away.
Mhm.
I did watch the Winter Soldier in theaters, and when that happened, there were people next to me gasping, and there was a woman next to me. She's like, "Oh my gosh." I'm like, you didn't? Do you not read comic books? I want to say that. Um, and there's nothing Marvel can really do about it. I think Marvel's game plan is there's gonna be the fans are going to love this because it's gonna be the Winter Soldier.
Mm,
They go and I think part of it too is there's other things that the movies can play with because we already know, like when this movie came out, we already know that Captain America might die. We already know that Winter Soldier might take over for Cap. So we're looking for places to think, okay, is this where the Winter Soldier might become Captain America and all this other stuff? But there's nothing really you can do about it. If you read a lot of comic books, you already have all these plots done. The only thing that I think it was more interesting from a comic book reader's perspective is Shield being disillusioned. That never happened in comic books. That was like Shield's always been in the comics. And when we find out that Hydra was in Shield and then Shield just goes away, I felt a loss. And it was a weird feeling. I was like, Shield is in the comics. It's always been in the comics
mm,
and now it's gone. Like the Marvel Cinematic Universe is much different than the actual Marvel Universe now,
yeah,
and that was a place where I feel like, yeah, I knew that Bucky was going to be Winter Soldier, but I didn't know that they were going to scrap down to the bottom Shield. Like, and it hasn't returned. Like, Shield's still gone, you know, and so I think the Marvel movies do a good job balancing it between here's what you think you know versus what we're going to do to surprise you. And there's other things that they do in other movies to do the same thing.
right. Okay, so you're still surprised. That's good. Not as much as me, but still some surprises.